All right, boys and girls, so we are going to go ahead and complete the study guide for Chapter 12 test on geometry. And before I get started, I want you to make sure that you have this test, this blank test that I've attached on Dojo in front of you so that you, as you're listening to this video with me, you can see the form in front of you and be working on it alongside me. All right, so the questions, all of the questions have the same directions. It says to read each question carefully and write the letter for your answer on the line provided. Number 1 says, how many faces, edges, and vertices does a box of cereal have? So I don't have a big box of cereal in front of me, but I do have this little mini Nerds box. And this Nerds box is shaped exactly how a box of cereal is shaped. So we know that the faces are pretty much just what we can see, the flat edges on a three-dimensional figure. So we have 1 face, 2 faces, 3 faces, 4 faces, 5 faces, 6 faces. So it could still be any of these options. Then if we look at the edges are going to be the sides pretty much, just like you would call an edge of anything if you were holding it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We know that there would be 4 in the bottom as well. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we have 9, 10, and we have 11, 12. So now we've narrowed it down to B or D. And now vertices are going to be our corners. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that narrows it down to letter B. So a cereal box or a cube has 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. All right, number 2, what is the volume? And we know the volume is just the space that takes up a three-dimensional figure, just like we talked about earlier. So if I cut this box open, the cereal box open, that would be the volume, the space that takes up this inside of it. So we could imagine that this is our figure below. So this side is 1 meter, this side is 5 meters, and this side is 6 meters. And we know that the formula for volume equals length times width times height. So we have the, excuse me, we have 1 times 5 times 6 here. Doesn't matter which order they're in because it's multiplication. And we have 1 times 5 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 times 1 is 30. And we know that it's 30 meters, but it's not just 30 meters. It's 30 cubic meters because we have 3 dimensions that we are using. If we have 3 dimensions, it has to be to the 3rd power. If we had 2, like we were finding the area of an object, it would be squared because it's 2 dimensions. So our answer is letter F, 30 cubic meters or 30 meters cubed. So do not forget your label that goes along with your number answer. All right, number 3, classify the triangle by its sides. So we have acute triangle, equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. Acute triangle is not used by its sides, that's used by its angles. So we know it's not number A or letter A. So we have equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. We know equilateral means that all triangles, the sides are congruent or equal. These are all not equal. So we have isosceles and we have scalene. Isosceles triangle is where 2 sides, at least 2 sides, are congruent. And D, scalene, is when no sides are congruent. And in this triangle we have here, we do have 2 sides that are 11 centimeters long, and we have a 3rd side that's 4 centimeters long. So we know that it is an isosceles triangle. And isosceles means 2 congruent sides. Scalene is no congruent sides, so they would all have completely different measurements. And this is all sides are congruent. All right, number 4, classify the triangle by its angles. So we can automatically eliminate equilateral because equilateral was a type by its sides. So we know that it's G, H, or I. G is a right triangle, and any right triangle has to have a little box in the corner with a 90-degree angle. We do not have that. So a right triangle has a 90-degree angle. We do not have that. We have an acute triangle and an obtuse triangle. Acute triangle has to have all sides are acute or less than 90 degrees. This side or angle is less than 90 degrees. This side is less than 90 degrees, but if we look at this angle down here, this is greater than 90 degrees, meaning it's obtuse, because if this was a 90-degree angle, I could draw a line straight. I'll just do a short one right here. So this is greater than 90 degrees, which means that it is an obtuse triangle. All sides are less than 90 degrees. All angles. One angle greater than 90 degrees. Number 5, select one attribute that describes a quadrilateral. And we know an attribute is pretty much just like a characteristic of a figure, just a way to describe it. So we have what looks like a rectangle here with 4 right angles, and we have opposite sides are congruent. So these sides are congruent or equal, and these sides are congruent or equal. And we do have 2 pairs of parallel lines. So if we extended this line and this line, they would continue to go and go and go and not cross. And these also have 2 parallel lines. They could go and go on forever without crossing. So letter A says both pairs of opposite sides are congruent and parallel. Well, we just said that, so we know that could definitely be a possibility. B says all sides are an equal length. We know that these sides are not the same length as these, so we know it's not B. C, there are no right angles. Well, that's not true because we have 4 right angles here. And D, only one pair of opposite sides are parallel, and that's not true because both opposite sides are parallel. So it's going to be letter A for number 5. All right. And if I were to show that these were the same length, you can put little ticks here that shows that they're the same length, the opposite sides. All right, moving on to the back where it gets a little bit more difficult and we have our word problems. So number 6 says, a store is stacking cans of food into a triangular display. The bottom layer has 11 cans. There are 6 layers. If there are 2 fewer cans in each layer, how many cans are in the display? So I'm going to go ahead and draw a big triangle. And that can be my display. And we know that the bottom layer has 11. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Just pretend those are cans. Each layer has 2 fewer. So if this has 11, 11 minus 2 is 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's my second layer. So this would be 1. This would be 2. My third layer, 2 less than 9 is 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My fourth layer, 2 less than 7 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My fifth layer is 2 less than 5, which is 3. And my sixth layer, which is 2 less than 3, is 1. So now if we count these up, we had 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, 1. So we'll start from the bottom. 11 plus 9 is 20. 20 plus 7 is 27. 27 plus 5 is 32. 32 plus 3 is 35. And 35 plus 1 is 36. And we do have a letter H, that is 36 cans. If you need to write that out, you totally can. I can put it down here. 11 plus 9 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1. So this is 20, 12, 4, 32, 36. Okay, number 7. Adele makes a composite figure by stacking 4 rectangular prisms that are each 3 inches by 5 inches by 7 inches. Find the volume for the composite figure. So we know that volume equals length times width times height. So these are obviously our measurements, 3 inches by 5 inches by 7 inches. So here is our formula. Now, we aren't finding the volume for one three-dimensional figure. We're finding it for a composite figure for 4 rectangular prisms. So whatever we get for one volume, we will need to multiply that by 4. So it doesn't matter which numbers you decide to group together to multiply. I'm going to go ahead and just do, we'll do 3 times 5 is 15. And 15 times 7, if we don't know it, we can just line it up here real quick. 7 times 5 is 35, carry my 3. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10. So 15 times 7 is 105. So all we need to do is take 105 and multiply it by 4. 5 times 4 is 20, carry my 2. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. And 4 times 1 is 4. So again, this was our initial volume, 105, and we multiplied it by 4 because we had 4 rectangular prisms. Underline my question. I should have been doing that. Okay, so our answer, we have 420, so we have to decide which one is correct. But if we know anything about three-dimensional figures, which makes up a composite figure, we know that it has to be to the third power, which would be letter B, 420 inches cubed, or 420 cubic inches. All right, number 8. Mr. Ayala wants to fill a canister with peanuts. Which measurement does he need to find to determine the amount of peanuts that will fit? So we have area, perimeter, surface area, or volume. We have not talked about area. We have not talked about perimeter. We have not talked about surface area, but we have talked about volume. We know that volume is the amount of space that takes up a three-dimensional figure, and a canister is a three-dimensional figure. So that would be letter I, volume. Number 9, Mrs. Smith stacked 6 cubes on top of one another to make a tower. If the tower is sitting on the floor, how many of the cube's faces can Mrs. Smith see? Okay, so again, I'm bringing out my handy dandy nerd boxes, and these are going to be like our mini cubes almost. So I'm going to stack them here for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have one more. Don't want this to fall over. 6. All right, how many of the cube's faces can Mrs. Smith see? We have one face right here. We have, I'm going to grab this all together and just show you the sides. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides here, or faces. So that's 7. We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we're going to look on here and see if we have 25 faces as an option. We do. That is letter B, 25 faces. And if you have like little mini boxes like I did here, feel free to use those to stack to show that it does have 25 faces. We can't see the bottom face because it's on the floor. So we counted all 6 faces on each of the 4 sides. 6 times 4 is 24, plus the one on top, which is 25. Number 10, Xu Ping draws a regular hexagon. The total length of the sides is 30 feet. What is the length of one side? And we know that a hexagon is a 6-sided polygon. Okay, so we are going to, I'll draw a mini one. That's not great at all, but it's okay. So we have 1 side, 2 side, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the total length is 30 feet. So if we have 6 sides and our total is 30 feet, we are going to divide 30 by 6. And 30 divided by 6 is 5 feet. And that is letter F, 5 feet. So each side of the hexagon is 5 feet long. Last question, number 11. Rosa drew a triangle with sides measuring 36 inches, 20 inches, and 24 inches. What type of triangle did Rosa draw? So we know that the side triangles are either going to be equilateral, scalene, or isosceles. So we know that acute triangle is measured by angles. So B is automatically out of the question. Equilateral, we know that means all sides are equal or congruent. These measurements are all different, so we know it can't be equilateral. So we have scalene and isosceles. Isosceles means two sides are congruent or have the same measurements. Do we see that here? No, we don't. So that only leaves one option left. What type of triangle did Rosa draw? She drew a scalene triangle. And remember, scalene means no congruent sides. Isosceles is two congruent sides. I'm going to exit this one out so we know not to use that. And equilateral is all sides congruent. All right, so I hope this helped you. Again, this is going to be your study guide for your test. So make sure that hopefully you followed along with me, and you can watch this video as many times as possible. And if you filled out the study guide with me, that will be your study guide for the test that you take on Thursday. All right, so again, you can watch this video as many times as you need in preparation for the test. So vocabulary test, you're going to use the Quizlet link after you've watched the video and completed the vocabulary review with me for the test, and then you'll do this alongside me for the test on the regular problems. All right, so I hope this helps, and good luck.